Hi guys! So it's time for my July favorite. So for you this month, I have 6 movies, 1 show, and 3 books for my favorites this month. So let's get started. So first with movies, the first movie I saw in July was Waitress. And I'd been actually wanting to watch Waitress since the musical last year, but I just hadn't gotten around to it. And just something happened near the end of June where I was like, you know what? I'm going to check out Waitress from the library and watch it. And I did. And I really enjoyed it. It's a very fun, kind of quirky movie. And it just made me want to go see the musical even more now that I know the whole story. I'd probably give Waitress 4.5 out of 5 stars. I really enjoyed it. Next was Spider-Man Homecoming, and I loved it. I loved everything about Spider-Man Homecoming. It was so good. Tom Holland is a great Peter Parker, and I loved Michael Keaton as the villain. And I was actually glad about the amount of Robert Downey Jr. we were going to get, because I was a little afraid that it would be there would be a lot of Robert Downey Jr. in the movie, and that scared me, kind of making it seem like, oh, we can't have Spider-Man completely have his own movie. We need Iron Man there too. But so I was glad that there wasn't a lot of Tony Stark. The amount that was in the movie was perfect, and I enjoyed it. Yeah, I'd give Spider-Man Homecoming 5 out of 5 stars. It was amazing. I loved every minute of it. Then the next 3 movies I saw were the new Planet of the Apes films. My brother has been trying for years now to get me to watch the Planet of the Apes movies, and I just kept resisting because I just didn't think they were the movies for me. But then the trailers for War for the Planet of the Apes came out, and he was showing me those, and those looked really interesting. So then I finally caved, like the week War for the Planet of the Apes came out, and I watched Rise of the Planet of the Apes, Dawn of the Planet of the Apes, and then we went and saw War for the Planet of the Apes. This trilogy is so good. I completely told my brother that I was sorry, that he was right. These movies were amazing, and as a whole trilogy, I would give it 5 out of 5. Amazing. The whole thing together is amazing. Individual movie-wise, I would give Rise probably 4 out of 5 stars, mainly because there is a lot of world building, so it does drag a little, and there are some scenes that I was like, I really don't care what's happening here. But overall, it was still a very enjoyable movie. Dawn, I'd probably give 4.5 out of 5 stars, because a part of me was like slightly frustrated with some of the human villains, and also I was frustrated with Caesar sometimes, but like I said, it was still a really good sequel to Rise. And then War for the Planet of the Apes was another 4.5 out of 5, kind of dragged in some parts, just like a little bit. I'm being nitpicky, honestly, because yeah, War was an amazing ending, and I cried because I'm me and I'm emotional, so yeah. And then the last movie I saw in July was actually Wonder Woman. Now, if you watched my June one, you'll know how sad I was because I didn't go see Wonder Woman. But when me and my brother went to see War, we noticed that our theater we always go to was still playing Wonder Woman. So we found that they were still playing it only for a couple more days, and so we went and watched it, and oh my god, I now understand why everyone loves Wonder Woman. It was so good. It was so good. Oh, I loved every minute of it. I loved the story so much, and I love Gal Gadot as Wonder Woman, and I hope I pronounced her name right. But yes, everything about that movie was amazing. It kind of restored my faith in the DC films, because I basically was not on board. Like, I never saw Man of Steel because I will admit this, I'm not a Superman fan. I'm just not. And I did watch Batman vs. Superman. It was an okay movie, but I didn't think it was that good. And then Suicide Squad, once again, was another okay movie. I just thought the plot was horrible. Like, the characters and the cast were great, and the plot was sucked. My faith is restored. Wonder Woman was amazing. Hopefully Justice League can be as good as Wonder Woman. Hopefully, please let Justice League be as good as Wonder Woman. I really want it to be. I want DC to continue to make good movies after this one. I don't want Wonder Woman to just be like this, like the random, like, hey, we actually did one movie right. Everything else was crap, but we had one. Like, I don't want that. I don't want that for DC. I want them to succeed. So hopefully Justice League is good. Wonder Woman, definitely 5 out of 5. Amazing. Now moving on to TV. I only started watching one new TV show this month, and that was The Good Place. I went over to my friend Tiara's house this month, and we just were looking for something to watch, and she has a Hulu account, and I remembered seeing commercials for The Good Place, and me and her watched the first 4 episodes of The Good Place and fell in love. Yeah. But the first 4 episodes that I watched, I loved. I will try to figure out. I should actually look up and see if it's coming out on DVD, because if it's coming out on DVD, I'm totally buying it, because I want to see what else happens in this show, because it was amazing. But yes, Good Place. Loved it. Need to finish that first season because I loved it. Moving on to the books. I read 3 books, and a lot of that had, well, 3.5, and I'll get to that. So first, let me explain. So I did the Booktubeathon this year, the first time I did it, which is why I got so many books read. And I made a book review to one of them, Eleanor and Park, which I gave 4 out of 5 stars. And if you want to know why I gave that rating or how I felt about that book, you can go to my recent uploads or to my reviews playlist, and that's where you'll find my review/rant on Eleanor and Park. But I did enjoy the book. Had some issues with it, but I did enjoy it. The reason I say 3.5 is because I'm reading The Vampire Diaries, and technically my first book in the series is a bind-up of the first 2 books. So technically I finished The Awakening, haven't finished The Struggle. That's why I said 3.5. Now with The Awakening, my biggest problem with, in the past when I read Vampire Diaries and even now, is Elena. Elena is one of the most frustrating characters. And I've read a lot of frustrating female characters, but Elena is probably one of my top 3. And it's mainly to do with the fact that Elena thinks she's the queen of everything. And I get it. When you're in high school and you're like the most popular girl in school, you have that mentality. I get it. But I hate when she's like, I don't like it when she's a dick to other people that she doesn't even know. But I really hate it when she's a dick to her so-called best friends, Bonnie and Meredith. I'm like, excuse you. Please stop being a dick. And also she's a dick to Matt. And I'm like, he doesn't deserve that. He loved you. And you're being a dick to him? Excuse you. But the thing that I found the most interesting is the closer she gets to Stefan and the more she starts to fall in love with Stefan and be in a relationship with him, she becomes a different person around Stefan. She actually becomes a decent person. But yet when she's still around Bonnie, Meredith, and Matt, she's somewhat a dick. And I'm like, okay, can the person you be with Stefan also be the person you are when you're around your best friends? Please. I'm going to keep reading. We'll see. We'll see. Because it's been like probably almost 4 or 5 years. Since, not even that, maybe close to almost like 6. Ooh, it might even be close to like 10 years since I've read The Vampire Diaries, so we'll see. I don't even know how long it's been. It's been a while, so we'll see how I feel the more I read. I would give The Awakening probably 3.5 out of 5, because Elena grates on me. She gets on my nerves. But anyway, then moving on, I read Black Canary Volume 2, New Killer Star. I can't remember if I gave it a 3 or 3.5, but it's definitely in that area, and it's just, it wasn't as good as Volume 1. I really, really enjoyed Volume 1, and I wanted to enjoy this one, and I did, but the story just felt like they didn't connect 100%. Like, it did tell a story, but it seemed very disjointed and kind of confusing, and I was like, I don't really like that. Now, I would love more, but the end of this volume kind of seemed like it was the end. So I don't know if they're going to write more Black Canary comics or what, but I would hope so, because I really want more Black Canary comics. I would love it. But yeah, so Volume 2 wasn't the best, but I still enjoyed it. Then lastly, I read The Princess Saves Herself in this one, and this was a poetry book in the same vein as Milk and Honey. It kind of told a story, was separated into 4 parts, had a very simple black cover with just the title, The Princess Saves Herself in this one. And I really enjoyed it. I can't remember what the rating was. I think I gave it a 4. But I loved the story. Amanda Lovelace, is the author. And I love the story she took me on with her poems. I connected to a lot of them. There were some I didn't connect and I kind of was like meh about. But overall, the journey she takes you on is very impactful and interesting, and I really want to read more of her work, just like with Milk and Honey. I really want Amanda Lovelace and Rupi, I'm not going to say her last name, author of Milk and Honey, because I don't want to butcher it, but both of these women have really interesting ways of telling their stories, and I can't wait to read more from them. But yeah, I really enjoyed Princess Saves Herself in this one. That's a long title to say, but yeah. So those were my favorites. That's all I got for this month for you guys. If you have seen any of the movies, the TV show, or the books I mentioned, please tell me down below what you thought of them. So that's it for this month's favorites. Like, favorite, comment, subscribe. Until next time. Bye guys.